Hello. So, a charity shop find, which might be nostalgic for some people. Um, it's a book series. It is Where's Wally? So I saw this Where's Wally set for 25p. Well, actually, it didn't have a price. In the Salvation Army in Swindon. Um, so I asked how much it was because I was interested in getting it, having a look for, as I say, nostalgic purposes. I love Where's Wally. Where's Wally is a great invention, I think. But yeah, I asked how much it was, and it was 25p. That's all they wanted for it, and that is a bargain because there's several books, as you can see. 25p would be good for one book, but you've got all of those. They're so reasonable. And Salvation Army charity shop is one of my favourite charity shops because they've stayed like an old-fashioned charity shops. Reasonable prices for people. Um, I don't know a huge deal about Salvation Army. I've had some dealings with it. I know a little bit about it. As far as I know, it's a good charity. Yeah, but the charity shops are like old-fashioned style charity shops, reasonable items, so people can get a bargain. Yeah, they don't go on eBay and see what people are listing things for and then charge them for that price. Because obviously, the idea of a charity shop was to be cheaper than things were typically going for. But unfortunately, a lot of charity shops seem to have lost that idea. So yeah, Salvation Army's, well, the one in Swindon anyway has stayed reasonable. I have found some a bit more pricey, but I think even then they're never the most priciest of charity shops. Also, they seem to, I mean, I'm sure there are some limits, but they seem to accept most things for donation. A lot of other charity shops will turn down certain things. I found that Salvation Army do seem to accept most things. They always just seem grateful for whatever you can donate. Maybe they have more space to keep it, and other charity shops don't. I don't know, but yeah, good experiences with them. So yeah, 25p is obviously an absolute bargain. Yeah, so Where's Wally, if you don't know, was a very popular, and I'm sure still is very popular with a new generation of people, very popular series where basically you had to find this guy, Wally. I know in America he was known as Welder. I don't know if he was named, he had other names in other countries, but I found about his name Waldo as a kid because of The Simpsons when they made reference to Where's Waldo, and I was like, that sounds like Where's Wally, but isn't Where's Wally? And then found out that it was, of course, just the American name for Wally. Wally is a very British sounding name. I mean, Wally is typically, or was, maybe not so much now, but was typically used as an insult, as in, you Wally. I think some people also call gherkins Wallies, but yeah. Um, Where's Wally? I'm not sure why they called him Wally because I don't think he's a Wally. It sounds a bit like Woolly, and he always has a woolly hat. But yeah, so basically, in the Where's Wally books, you would be presented with a picture. So let's take one out as an example. This one's called Where's Wally the Great Picture Hunt, and you would have to try and find him somewhere in these pictures. And I always thought they could be pretty challenging. Obviously, that's kind of the idea. Like this one looks a little bit easier. Like when there's not so many small pictures, it's a bit easier. But when the big picture's made up of lots of small pictures, it can be quite a challenge to find them, you see. Now, if you're not familiar with Where's Wally, you might be familiar with some of the more modern takes because there have been many different versions of find a certain character or find a certain item books. I mean, it's a classic puzzle. They've done Where's Unicorn, but they've also done ones where it's based on a series. So I've got some of the Where's Pokemon books where you have to find a certain Pokemon. For example, one is called Where's Eevee, and you have to find Eevee. But also throughout the book, they give you other things to find, so like other Pokemon, other characters. And I think that's the same in these Where's Wally books. I think there might be bonus objectives, you could call them, to find other items and things like that. So yeah, that's how they worked. So the author was Martin Hanford. Don't know a lot about him, but he's a legend for creating this great series. So yeah, this is book 6. I've got various books. Now this set actually says on the back it came with a jigsaw. That is missing, but for 25p, that is a bargain, obviously still. This one says buy one get one free on children's books. So this one looks like it wasn't brought with the set. Maybe it was brought separately. Like that symbol there, gold O. So yeah, again different pictures but themed. This one's Where's Wally Now, so it's like an updated version. I mean, I don't know what the date of this one is. Original copyright is 1988 and it goes all the way up to 2007. So yeah, they go back to the 80s. Do you remember Where's Wally? Did you read Where's Wally? Or not so much read, it's more, did you find Wally? Because there's not much to read. There obviously is a bit, as you can see. It tells you, then Wally and Wizard Whitebeard, I remember that character, came to the land of the carpet flies. So it is sort of telling the story as well. It shows you in the back some of the books you can get. So yes, I mentioned about it being nostalgic. So I remember Where's Wally books. I had some. I enjoyed reading them at home. I also remember them being a thing at school. I remember them being very popular. People just loved to open them up and try and find Wally. Now this one, when I saw this one, so I've sold quite a few of these on my website, but this one, the moment I saw this one when I was looking through them in the Salvation Army, looking through the set, this one gave a hit of nostalgia, because this is the one I remember most. Where's Wally in Hollywood? I have a memory, I think, of a kid bringing like one of these in at school, and it being this Hollywood one, and trying to find Wally in these Hollywood themed pictures. Yeah, for some reason I remember this one more than others. I think it's one of the popular ones. Now, in the set, I got two of them. So, yeah, they put an extra one in. So maybe they got one with the set and then they already had one. I don't know. But, yeah, there's two of those ones. And this one, the last one I've got, is Where's Wally, the Wonder Book. And there we go. Now, one other thing about Where's Wally, which some of you may remember, they did a cartoon series of it, and I really remember watching that quite clearly. I think in the mid to late 90s, I would have probably seen it, maybe even into the early 2000s, I don't know. I think it was, I'm going to say it was on CITV, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I think it was. So how did the cartoon series of Where's Wally work? Well, basically, you would still have to try and find Wally in between, like, the sort of narrative of the episode, and the screen would just freeze, and you would have to try and find Wally before the time was up, and then things would resume, the narrative would resume, if you like. Of course, what you could do back then, you wouldn't have had a version to stream and stop and pause to give yourself more time to find Wally. But if you did want to cheat, you could just tape the episode. Or if you had the episode on video already, I'm sure they would have released them on videos. You could just pause and give yourself extra time to find Wally. Although that might be a bit difficult, because if you try to pause a video, it would be going like this. You'd be jumping with like a thick white line along it, and yeah, you might not be that hard to, sorry, it might be hard to find Wally in all the fuzz. But yeah, it was a good idea to do a cartoon series. I don't actually remember a lot about it, but I remember some of the characters being in it, like obviously Wally himself, and mentioned Whitebeard. I remember him, he's a wizard, very like stereotypical looking wizard. I haven't seen, oh look, is that him? No, I can't see him on any of the books, but they mentioned him, so he's probably somewhere. Maybe you have to find him as well. But yeah, that is a really nice set, in very good condition as well. So yeah, Where's Wally books. Also, if you do sell books yourself, I mean children's books really sell well. Where's Wally books will sell well. Yeah, I think they're great. I think they're fun for all ages. I like the fact that I think the puzzles weren't extremely easy. Like some of them might be a bit easier, but I think some of them were challenging. So yeah, I think it can appeal to all ages. I think it's a really good concept, just like these other books I mentioned where you have to find certain characters or certain items. They're a popular puzzle book, and I think they're really good. And I think something about the Wally ones, which captured people's imagination, and they did very well. And I'm pretty sure they still do well to this day. So here's two that I had to hand of the books I was talking about that are finding a certain character, like the Where's Wally books. I have 2 Pokemon ones to hand. So I had this one, so search and find. And yep, so a similar idea. So you've got like certain Pokemon to find, so it shows you there, for example, in a nice scene. So like that. And I also have this one, and this one's about a particular Pokemon, Where's Eevee? So one of the most popular Pokemon. Can you find Eevee? And they also have like to find Eevee's evolutions. As you can see, I like the fact that there's a Shelder just casually sitting on Snorlax's tummy there. Yeah, you can see find certain characters, and it gives you various objectives like the bonus missions, if you like, to find other characters as well. So it's a great concept. Very nice picture of Eevee there. Very great concept that can work for all different franchises.